Hi everyone, it's Brett here from Metropole. Well, the economic and financial climate is going to be very difficult over the next 4 or 5 years. There's going to be a very low inflation, very low wages growth, and as a result, property prices aren't going to grow very much either. So with that, a lot of investors are going to be, I guess, caught out seeking cash flow and the latest fad, and they're not going to stick the course and look for those growth properties. As we always say, cash flow will keep you in the game, but it's capital growth that will get you out. That's what the wealthy and successful investors understand. So with that in mind, I'm going to share with you some of the key drivers for growth, for capital growth, because it's important you stick to these fundamentals now because they will come back into play once we get through this period. The first thing is, and a lot of people do talk about population growth, but what I'm talking about is actually understanding household formation, understand the way that people are living and the way that they're choosing to live. That's going to be very, very important moving forward. People are choosing to live closer to our capital cities. They're not moving further and further out. So the household formation of those kinds of properties are really, really important. The next thing we're going to look at is the supply side of the equation. We've talked about demand, the supply side and housing supply, and really understanding what areas and what levels of supply are available. In the outer areas, there's always the estates, the 5-10 years of supply left. But in the inner city areas, there's a very, I guess, a finite number of properties that can be developed. So there's less supply, and that's something that you should really understand. The third driver of growth is clearly interest rates, and that's what I believe is keeping our market fairly buoyant at the moment. 10 years ago, with interest rates north of 7%, now they're down around 2%, and people who are lucky enough to be in a position to borrow and are comfortable to move forward are getting interest rates in the very, very low 2%, and that's just really unheard of. So that's going to be a key driver of our growth, potentially not at the moment, but again, once we start getting back to normal. Number 4, there's not just one Australian property market, nor is there just one Queensland market. We have markets within markets. So it's really important to understand the fundamentals and what's actually happening in each market. We're looking for employment and jobs growth. That's really, really important in those specific markets because that's what's going to drive more demand for housing. We're looking for jobs growth, we're looking for wages growth, as I mentioned before. The majority of your population won't have their wages growing. So we need to look for areas where wages are growing and potentially people have multiple streams of income to actually overcome that. That's going to be critically important. And the last thing is consumer confidence. And clearly we've dropped off a cliff at the start of this year. There's a slow recovery on the way as well. But I believe consumer confidence is the cog that links everything together. And if the market's confident, then the growth will remain. And clearly we're away from that where we are at the moment, but the fundamentals will come back. So it's very, very important that you understand and you stick to these key drivers when you're making those property decisions. Thanks for watching.